This Heart of America 200 DFS Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, MLB, MMA, NHL, golf, NASCAR, F1, and more. Sign up today at UnderdogFantasy.com using promo code RACESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We are also brought to you by NYRA Bets. Sign up today for a $25 free bet and $200 bonus deposit with promo code SGPN25. Just go to nyrabets.com/SGPN25.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome into another episode of the Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He is always Cody Z. I am Rod Villagomez. Welcome to Truck DFS and of course our Underdog Picks as well. Cody, we did the truck episode yesterday for betting. Today we get to dive a little deeper into the DFS part of it for those who participate.
Yes, Truck DFS, Truck Underdog. You love it. Gets its own spotlight this week, of course, no Xfinity series. So yeah, we get a full episode talking about nothing but truck fantasy, Rod. Who doesn't love some fantasy trucks?
Trucks in your fantasy. I mean, if that's you, listen, by all means, it doesn't matter. We love all people. It takes all kinds. But yeah, if that's you, then this is the show for you. Although maybe you might want to watch out because it might not be the show that you are looking for. So I don't know. Your Google algorithm may send you here and you'll be like, what the hell is this? But I assure you'll still have fun listening to it.
Maybe it's the show you didn't know you were looking for, Rod.
Ooh, I love that. You know what? We just got these cool killer cards, right? Our own show cards. Maybe we should have added that. It's the show you didn't know you were looking for.
On the next go round, we'll have to add that.
Yeah, we definitely will. So, all right. Yeah, like we said, Cody, it is, of course, the truck series at the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. They will be taking the field while the Xfinity is off. And then, of course, right after that is Cup. So, yeah, like we said, we broke down a lot of the drivers yesterday. I tried to stay away from some of those drivers in this episode because I feel like there's a few more that we didn't get to talk about in the betting episode because odds weren't necessarily where they're supposed to be, but could be brought up today in the DFS episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's a combination of both. This can be one guy specifically that's going to be talked about a lot today that was talked about a lot yesterday. But yeah, this is kind of where you get a little deeper into it, right? We don't get top 10s in the truck series, which is highly unfortunate because we'd be able to talk about a lot more of these guys. And at least early in the week, we don't get a lot of matchups. It's like 5 matchups usually available for the trucks, and it's all the top guys. So, I mean, give us a Caden Honeycutt versus a Timmy Hill head-to-head. I'd love to break that down, Rod. So maybe we'll get there sometime, but don't get a chance to talk about guys like that and some of these other deeper in the field guys. So it's always fun to do that on the DFS side of things. And they play an important part of your lineup because, I mean, yes, you have to hit the big guys, obviously, that do well, but getting those cheap plays right it can be a big difference in how your fantasy day ends up.
Indeed. Cody, you said you had some news for us before we got started with the show. So hit us with the news, my friend. What's going on?
Yeah, it's been a newsy day in NASCAR, Rod. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and JTG Doherty Racing have agreed to a multi-year contract extension. So Ricky's not going anywhere. And I think this is a good move. He seems to be a really good fit for that team. He gets the best out of the equipment, obviously. He's capable of winning races on super speedways, right? We've seen that, but he'll pop up and have good runs. I mean, it was running top 10 at Dover last week, like we talked about, and we have a bet on him. Go back and listen to Tuesday's show this week at Kansas as well. So, yeah, I think he's a good driver. There's been a lot of rumors about Kroger. Are they going to leave JTG? Are they looking for somewhere else? It seems like Kroger and Ricky have a really good relationship. Nothing was mentioned about sponsorship in this, press release for the extension, but makes you wonder. There's probably some type of backing to come along with that, right? So, again, could be any number of things, whether it's Kroger or NOS is big with him in the dirt series and stuff like that. So I'm sure one way or the other they'll be covered, but big news for Ricky as he gets his contract extended with JTG. And then Rod, probably to nobody's surprise, really, Corey Heim is going to be in the 43 car this weekend for Legacy Motor Club. We talked about that earlier this week. We knew Eric Jones was on the entry list, but it was likely not going to happen. Now, the surprising part of this, Rod, Eric Jones has been medically cleared to race, but out of an abundance of caution, they're going to keep him out of the car this week, Rod, and they're going to allow him to return next week for Darlington. Much like when Chase Elliott returned last year at Martinsville, a track that's very tough on your legs, especially when you're, have to brake and hit the pedal and brake. You're doing a lot of footwork at Martinsville and coming back from a broken leg at Martinsville. I don't know that was the best idea. Now you're going to come back to the Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame after a back injury. That's rough. I know it's Eric. I mean, it's one of the tracks you circle Eric Jones at. It's probably going to be hard to bet on him next week, even though you would want to in a normal sense, because he does so well at Darlington. It's one of his better tracks, but that's the plan right now. He's been apparently medically cleared to race this weekend, but they're going to take the abundance of caution at Kansas, give Corey Heim one more crack at it. So, if you've got Corey Heim in your one and done pools, might be time to use him if you didn't use him last week, because might not get many other chances. And then Eric Jones will be back next week at Darlington.
It's like saying to a boxer, look, we know that you're coming back off of a pretty extensive injury, but we've got a fight scheduled with Mike Tyson for you. And we're going to go ahead and go. That'll be the fight you come back to.
Hey, give me an easier opponent before I go face Mike Tyson after this injury. Gosh.
You don't get Glass Joe, you get Mike Tyson. I am sorry. So that's on you, buddy. So, all right, we will set this race up for you, but let's talk about the playoffs. Playoffs. That's right. Make sure to tune in all week. The NBA and Hockey Gambling Podcast have episodes to get you locked in with exciting playoff action. I don't need to know how the Avs are doing because I already know they're ready to go for the next round, whoever is ready to take them on. But the Hockey Gambling Podcast can help you break down some more of that action. Plus, Derby week, you love your horses. So does the Sports Gambling Podcast. Tune in as the guys get you ready for the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Well, Cody, it is the Heart of America 200 at the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. 134 laps around this 1.5 mile paved track. Not a lot of laps. Still, though, there's an opportunity for some lap leaders in this as well. So we do want to keep an eye out for folks we think are going to lead some laps in this one. But I think that we talked about it too in the betting episode. This is kind of a chalky type of a week, especially at the top of the racetrack. There are some good values, and for DFS, obviously, there's some really good value. But this is going to be kind of chalky. The top drivers that have been the top drivers all season long will probably end up being the ones least. So it's just a matter of finding the one like we did, kind of knowing the rest of around it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you nailed it. I think it is going to be very chalk heavy at the top. And so, again, that's why it's going to be important. If you are playing these guys at the top of the board, you're going to have to find those middle tier guys that make a difference. You're going to have to find that cheap driver or two that makes the difference and completes your lineup and differentiates you from everybody else.
Yep. And so we're going to do exactly that as we get around this track. Well, I guess, Cody, all that's left to do is to go over the let's go over the starting lineup. Let's go over the entry list because we don't normally do that for the DFS episode, but I feel like we should do it for the DFS episode just for the folks who don't necessarily listen to the gambling part of it.
You got to prepare me for this stuff, Rod. I got to find the entry list again now.
On the fly, Cody.
Luckily, I did have it close by. 33 trucks in for this race. Everybody will be in it. Brett Moffitt is going to be in the one truck for Tricon. I don't know if we're going to be talking about Brett today, but definitely going to be, what is Brett's? Actually, now you got me off on the tangent here, Rod. 8,700. Brett Moffitt is a guy that he's not. Are you giving him out? No, you're not. Okay. A guy that I would consider playing at 8,700 for sure in a great truck. Connor Mosack, another guy that I eyed and almost put in there as that mid-tier guy, Rod. In that 7 truck, should be a fast truck. He'll be a guy to keep an eye on. Jennifer Jo Cobb, she's going to be pretty tough to play. Cam Waters is back in the 66 truck. Meh. And Zane Smith, the one Cup Series guy in this race back in the 91 for McAnally Hilgeman. And obviously he's he's $10,000, so cheaper than Corey Hyman. He's cheaper. He's the 4th guy on the board with Heim, Eckes, Sanchez above him. Kind of interesting. You get to the guy who's kind of dominated the series the last couple of years and is the Cup Series guy, and yet he's the 4th highest price guy on the slate. Might maybe tell you what you need to know, I guess.
I hit the wrong button. Yeah, it definitely does tell you what you need to know. So, all right. Thank you for the entry list. That was insightful. I know I put you on the spot for that one. So, want to continue to keep you on your toes.
You do that well.
Let's start breaking down some drivers, but let's do this first because I want to get some housekeeping out of the way before we start breaking down our drivers. Let's tell you about NYRA. Bet the run for the roses with NYRA bets. Score big on the Kentucky Derby with a double dose of rewards. Sign up today for a $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus with promo code SGPN25. Join now to claim your $25 bet and a $200 deposit bonus at nyrabets.com/SGPN25. You need more? Bet Kentucky Oaks Day with $30 bonus. Opt in and bet at least $150 each on Belmont and the Big A and Churchill Downs. $30, win or lose. Plus, we're giving you an extra $50 for Derby, $150, bet $250 each on Belmont at the Big A and Churchill Down for a $50 bonus, win or lose. Visit nyrabets.com to opt in. NYRA Bets has everything you need to bet the fastest 2 minutes in sports with confidence. For expert picks, betting insights, promotions, and more. Visit nyrabets.com and make sure to claim your free $25 bet and $200 deposit bonus at nyrabets.com/SGPN25. Well then, Cody, all that is left now is to begin building our DFS lineups for this, or at least give our favorite plays for this race. Who are we starting with? We're going to go high, low, mid, because again, this is the truck episode and it's got its own episode, so we can do this. We'll do the high, the low, and high, mid, and low drivers, and then we'll set up our underdog picks afterwards. So where are we starting, Cody?
Yes, sir. Going pretty much right to the top of the board. Christian Eckes, I think you got to find a way to get him in. 10,700. You're definitely paying for it, but for good reason, Rod. We talked about Eckes' rocket ship here in the spring last season. Ends up in the wreck, so obviously didn't pan out for DFS in the day, but comes back, wins in the fall. He did only lead 2 laps, so that will be a little tough on the DFS side of things if he doesn't lead more laps, but we know he is capable of leading laps, Rod, and we've got a couple of examples of that. Going back a couple of weeks ago at Bristol, led 133 laps. Again, that's a shorter track. Yes, it's only a mile, and it's a little different in that it's an intermediate track, but the fact remains it's an intermediate track still, and he did well there. Led 133 laps, won the race, 58 fastest laps, 105 fantasy points for you. Also back at Martinsville at 105 fantasy points, led 144 laps. Again, that's not super comparable, but worth looking at anyways. A little bit of a tougher day at Las Vegas, so that kind of scares me just a touch. 36.7 points there. He started second, Rod, finished 6th, but only led 7 laps, so that wasn't great. And then at Texas, he ended up scoring 53.4 points, starting second as well and finishing 4th. He did lead 31 laps that day, so a little bit of a better day, but I think that this is going to be a track where Eckes shows up with a fast truck. I would not be surprised to see him starting on the pole in this one. I wish we could bet Truck Series qualifier odds because he might be a heavy favorite, but I would probably take some on him. I could see him starting on the pole, leading a ton of this race, and I think it's going to be the Eckes and Heim show. Whether you need both of them, whether you need one of them, if you're going to pick one, I'm going with Eckes this week. He's the guy that I'm really leaning into, Rod. 5 top 6 finishes here in 8 starts with 3 different teams. He's been solid at this track. I think he can get it done again this weekend.
Well, like you said, I mean, it's when you do DFS, obviously you have multiple lineups. Most people don't just throw one lineup out into the world and hope that it hits. There's a couple of lineups. So, I mean, if you are conflicted and you say, "Oh, but really I want Corey Heim this week," well, then build a Corey Heim lineup. That's really what you got to do. You got to pick one of these two, like Cody said, and just sort of stick with it and build a lineup around it. But I do agree with you in that Eckes, I think, is the best one. Talked about it on the betting episode yesterday, where I really believe that he's going to be a solid top 3 car or truck rather all day long. So if that means he leads laps along the way, all the better for you. And you got to figure he's the second highest fantasy points per race average right now going into the season, 53.6. Corey Heim, the first at 57.2. But again, you just have to figure out which one you want and run with it. So I'm with you on the Corey Heim, or the Christian Eckes chain rather. And I'll stick with you on that. I will go down just a little bit lower for my high price driver, and I'll give you Taylor Gray. Really talked him up on the betting episode yesterday as well. This guy has just been on a tear, right? I mean, you look at Daytona, where he finished 19th and he crashed out. After that, 4th place at Atlanta, 4th place at Las Vegas, 7th place at Bristol, 2nd at Austin, 6th at Martinsville, 7th at Fort Worth. It has been a string of top 10 finishes with several inside of the top 5 and even one runner-up finish over there at Coda. Look, here's the thing about Taylor Gray, right? Last season, it was his growing up season. Now we're starting to see Taylor really excel in this truck. And listen, for all that he was growing up last season, he actually didn't do too badly on this track either. He started 19th in 2023, finished 9th. That is 10 place differential points right there for you, or at least, place differential potential points for you right there. And then in the fall of 2023, started 16th, finished 2nd. There's 14 places in differential for you as well. Talk about 44.1 fantasy points per race. That's good enough for 4th on overall for all the folks. Of course, back of what he's done already, Gray, for these purposes, has been absolute money. 40 points last week, 45 points the week before, 43, 35, 60, 69, and 17. 69 was at the Freight 208, where he started 31st and finished 4th, right? That was the Atlanta, where he finished or started all the way back and finished 4th. He's a fast truck. He's going to get it done. This is a fantastic opportunity for you to get a guy that'll probably be a top 5 truck at the cost of somebody that they're expecting to be maybe a top 7 truck, and he's not as expensive. He could lead some laps, maybe, who knows? But yeah, I mean, again, he's going to be just as fast as Eckes, as Heim, and you're getting him for a pretty decent discount.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the price, $9,200 for Gray. His upside, obviously, we've talked about so much before, is high. He's been getting really good, strong results. So definitely a guy that I'll be targeting. Yeah, I love Taylor Gray every week. Love him even more this week, Rod. So no argument from me there.
Apologies for the unprofessionalism of blowing my nose on screen. I swear to God, guys, California allergies are not leaving me alone for sure. So, Cody, mid-tier drivers, while everybody fixates on you and not me blowing my nose.
All right, everybody look at me. Unfortunately, I don't know that you want to do that. Just watch Rod blow his nose. It's fine. I'm going to go to the lower end of the mid-tier guys, Rod, and I'm going to take Caden Honeycutt at 6,500. He's a guy that I wanted to highlight this week because it's been pretty good with Honeycutt so far through this season. Of course, I just lost him on my screen. There he is. So he's had 3 starts this season, Rod. Those starts have netted out to be pretty good DFS days for him. He started 6th place at Atlanta. Again, that's a super speedway, so I'm not going to look too much at that. But you go to Bristol a couple of weeks ago, intermediate track again, 12th place finish for him. Ended up with 29.7 points. That's a deep day for the price he's at. And then he came back in 9th place at Martinsville, 43 points that day. Now this is going to be a bigger track. And then Martinsville and Bristol, obviously. He's a late model guy, so there's a little bit of hesitation there, but he is in that 45 Nice truck. We've seen Nice trucks be pretty good in the past, right? They seem to be better with certain drivers in them, Ross Chastain and Carson Hocevar, right? But even guys like Bailey Curry haven't done bad. We've seen Johnny Sauter in this truck specifically have some good runs earlier this season as well. So Honeycutt's one of those younger up-and-coming guys. again, it's all been all about late model guys here lately, Rod, right? That's all we're hearing about. Cars Tour guys. He won Rookie of the Year there a few years ago, and he's been a solid guy. I think at 6,500 offers a lot of value. If he can get you that 43-point day or that 57-point day like he had earlier this season. But he's one of these young drivers. Not a lot of people see him. They're going to click on his name. Oh, he's only made 3 starts this year. Must not be that good. That's not always the case, right? So I think at 6,500, you're getting a pretty good deal with Honeycutt here.
Yeah, and again, I do like playing these guys that don't have the name recognition that some of these other guys have as well, because especially in these GPPs that are full of the folks that follow certain sites, or they're buying their picks and everything. A lot of them tend to stay away from these guys because they don't know. And so they're just jumping in and doing this. So getting in on those and being able to differentiate yourself in those GPPs, very, very clutch. Another name that I think a lot of folks are going to stay away from because they see the success of his little brother and they don't expect the big brother to have any sort of success. And as an older child, I will tell you right now, when the oldest is overlooked, there's hell to pay. So give me Tanner Gray, Taylor Gray's older brother. I don't know that he ever thought that he was going to be introduced that way to the family. This is Taylor. This is his older brother, Tanner. $7,400 for the older sibling of Tanner Gray. And look when you talk about what his price point is, right? $7,400 for Tanner Gray. He's actually 10th in terms of fantasy points per race, 33.4 points per race at an average of about $7,200 to $7,300 price tag. That's actually not bad. That's almost 5 times, right? 7 times 5, 30. Okay. It's almost 5 times what you'd be paying a little, almost whatever it is. Math sucks. I hate it. But it's almost 5 times what you're actually paying for him in that one. So that's pretty good for a guy like that. Last week, 62 points for Tanner. It started 34th, finished 8th. Woo, what a run. 30 points the week before that, 32, 35, 27, 27, 19. When we talk about guys in this range, right, in this 7,000, even dipping down into like the 6,000, high 6,000s, mid 6,000, you're really not wanting people to lose you points. You want that range to be quite stable, right? Because the higher guys are supposed to get you all of the higher points. The lower drivers, you just hope that they don't crash. And then, the mid-tier drivers, you just want them to stay within a certain range, something you can predict. And when you can predict about 30 to 35 points out of a guy like Tanner Gray, the rest of it is pretty much cake. So what's he done this season? Well, he's averaged a 14.9 place finish, but his average start, 19.3. So there's at least a 5 place differential in that, just starting and stopping the races for him all season long, right? We talked about his climb up the road at Texas last week, right? 34th to 8th. That's a pretty impressive run, honestly, at a mile and a half at Texas, or 2 weeks ago, rather, at Texas. That's a really impressive run on a mile and a half back then. Vegas, 24th. He finished 20th. Not bad there. Not super fantastic, but it's pretty damn good. The only thing that kind of gives you a little bit of pause is that here at Kansas, it hasn't necessarily been his favorite track. He has led laps here, though. He led 3 in the spring of last year and then 4 in the fall of last year. But his average finishing position is 19. His average start is 14. So what you're hoping for is the 2024 version of Tanner Gray, who's actually been able to drive that 15 truck and do it decently rather than falling back on his old habits at Kansas. So that's kind of what you're hoping for here. So Tanner Gray, $7,400, pair him with his brother. You'll have the Gray powers unite in this DFS sign up. My brother checking in. Yeah. Cause Rod knows all about being overlooked. Sincerely, the middle child. That's what Nick is the middle child. My sister is the youngest and I am the oldest. So most certainly not saying I was overlooked there, Nick, but definitely Tanner. I feel you, brother.
Good timing on that, Nick. Wait, I'm glad you jumped in. I do like Tanner Gray though as well. Again, he's in one of those Tricon trucks as well. It's not like he's in a different ride that's a lot slower or anything. We know there's a talent gap, right? But with this much of a price difference, I mean, you're getting $1,800 cheaper than his brother. He can also put up some pretty good numbers for his price. So he's a guy that I like as well.
Indeed. Very much like him, very much like his younger brother. So we'll go with the Gray brothers on this one. All right, we'll give you our low price drivers, but we're going to tell you first about Underdog Fantasy. Hang tight. We got an entire section full of our favorite Underdog Fantasy plays for this game, for this race rather, and we're excited to share those with you. But the NBA playoffs are also here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy, it's the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on a player's stats like points, rebounds, assists, so much more. And of course, like we know in the world of racing, better than or worse than the projected finishing position of the drivers. Make entries of all just basketball if you want, baseball, hockey, whatever, or you can mix across your favorite sports like basketball, like hockey, like baseball, like racing too. Win up to 100 times your money. It's a ton of fun. I'm telling you right now. New customers, you're going to get a pick'em special in the lobby when you sign up. So make sure you head over there and do that now. Plus, Underdog will also be running a ton of different promos, bonus cash airdrops, specials, giveaways, so much more through the NBA playoffs. So make sure to follow at Underdog Picks on Twitter to keep an eye out. Underdog's available in 30 states, including California, Texas, and Canada. They also just launched Champions, their player versus player format in Florida. So make sure you sign up with our promo code RACE-SGPN. Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy promo code RACE-SGPN. Let's start saving our folks some money and dip down into the lower price drivers. Cody, who is your low price driver?
Yes, Rod, a guy that I always love to target when it comes to, well, really any series that he's running in. This guy gets it done for you, and he's always cheap. Timmy Hill, $5,700, near the bottom of the board, Rod. Let's go back and look at what Timmy Hill does for you. Go back to Texas a couple of weeks ago. He starts 30th, Rod, finishes 21st, 30 points for you. Again, a solid day. He's got a pretty high floor in general. You go back and you look at Las Vegas, he ended up getting caught up in some stuff there, only had 4 points for you. So you got burned a little bit there, but 30 points, 36 points, 21 points, 36 points, 61 in there, but that's at Daytona. But you go back and you look at, that's from this season, even last season, Rod. You go back and you look at the races he ran, not running a full truck season even, and 25th at Bristol, 24th at Kansas, 26th at Bristol, 23rd at Richmond, 16th at Nashville, 18th at Worldwide Technologies, 24th at Darlington, 22nd at Las Vegas. Like, talk about consistent good runs. Timmy Hill is that guy, Rod. I would guess Timmy Hill has made it in probably my main lineup in the Truck Series just about every week this season, because he is a guy that I can constantly go to. He's always cheap. He's always near the bottom of the board, and he's always getting you good, solid numbers, averaging 31.2 points this season. So don't overthink it. Timmy Hill's a guy you can play just about any week, just about any type of track, any place. So, yeah, love Timmy Hill.
Timmy Hill is like your free square in bingo. You essentially just kind of put him there and then build the rest of your lineup around Timmy Hill.
Well,
right?
That's Kevin Harvick a couple years ago, Rod. Remember when every week we came on the show and we're like, we're not going to give out Kevin Harvick as a play, but Kevin Harvick's a play, and you'd play him every single week, and he paid off every single week, and he was continually way underpriced, continually overperformed. Like, that's what Timmy Hill is. Don't go bet him to win the race because he's probably not going to unless it's a super speedway. But he's going to show up. He's so good at just grinding it out. He knows what he's doing. He's a veteran. He's been around a long time. They own that team. He knows I got to stay out of the shit because I got to pay. I got to fix it myself. I got to pay for it, right? And he just shows up and does his thing, stays out of trouble, gains positions through attrition, and stack. He's like Corey LaJoie. He's stacking his pennies, and he does it every single week. So, yeah, Timmy Hill 5,700 is a great play.
How high do you have to stack pennies before they actually start to make any sense in you? I feel like if you stack
I'll
pennies,
get back to you this weekend, Rod, when I'm not busy at all.
Nick Fortune checking in, saying good afternoon, gentlemen. We got two Nicks in the chat. All right.
That sounds like a job for Nick Fortune. He's always sending me these like foreign women's basketball bets he's betting on and stuff. Like, while you're watching those games, Nick, stack pennies and see how high you can get them.
Yes, I would love to know the answer to that. Well, maybe it'll be as high as tall as Lawless Allen, a name I think we've only brought up on this show a couple of different times at any point just to talk about it. So I'm going to bring him up now. Literally the last driver on this other than Jennifer Jo Cobb And it's not that I don't think that $5,000 for Cobb is a good price. I just want somebody that's been.
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any possible outcome that Cobb could pay off for you, Rod.
No, that's why I'm just going one driver up, and I'm going to go to Lawless Allen. This is a punt, but a punt with upside. Why? Because the upside came a couple of weeks ago in Texas, where he had an 11th place finish, scored you 42 points on a $5,100 salary. Do I think that's going to happen again? Likely not, but I will say that even if he gets me somewhere in the range of 49, like he did a few weeks ago at the Freight 208 at Atlanta, where he finished 12th, then that would be okay. I know Super Speedway, I understand it. But I will say that I'll take that out of him. I'll even take 24 points out of him, to be honest with you. Like we got a few days ago at the Victoria's Secret race out there in damn it, I hate
Vegas?
in Vegas, where he started 30 or where he started 29th or 28th and finished 23rd. Like that's the kind of range that I'm looking for out of Lawless Allen. Just essentially, like this season, his average finish 24.1, his average start 26.9. He's hanging around the same spot. He's not losing you points, except when he's losing you points a couple of weeks ago when he actually had a really bad run at the Expel 225, where he finished 33rd in Coda. But again, that is the road course, and that was kind of the rear gear for that was Lawless Allen was the one that lost the entire back end of his truck, right?
Yes, yeah. I think the entire axle came off.
Yeah, I think his truck is still. It was a Lego piece that just fell out of the back of his truck. It just disconnected and just dropped. So poor guy didn't get a chance to do anything there. So, but at Kansas, listen, at Kansas, this is not a bad little track record for Kansas, right? 2022 in the spring, started 25th, finished 19th. That's a better finish than he started, right? In 2022 in the fall, started 28th, finished 31st. All right, that happens. Maybe the Lego piece fell off of his again. But the last two races, started 34th, finished 17th. Started 34th in the fall of 2023, finished 22nd. So he's finishing better than he started, right? His average start is 30.3. His average finish, 22.3 at Kansas. Not bad for a guy that's $5,100 that'll probably start at the very back and just work his way up into a top 25 finish. So I think Lawless Allen is a fantastic piece of your DFS puzzle this week.
Yeah, I was a little bit upset that you took this play because I wanted to take Lawless Allen as my cheap play because, yes, I think he's a great play this weekend and can save you a ton of money. I mean, we went on the conservative side of things this week, Rod. If you put in these guys, you still have $5,400 to spend. So
damn, you still have a full Lawless Allen to put back in there again.
Exactly. You get a bonus driver if you play the guys we gave out. So your brother is correct. It was Marco Andretti who lost his back end at Coda. But either way, obviously you didn't watch that race, Rod. You should never talk about it ever again and just completely quit the show. So
okay,
I think that's how it goes if you give out a slightly wrong stat. But it's a road course. It doesn't really matter anyways. But yes, love Lawless Allen this week. I think he's a great play. So totally agree with everything you said except for the Coda part of it.
I don't think people understand when you talk as much as we do. We are bound to say things that we have zero clue what they are. Sometimes it's just I think back to the number of hours that I've talked in my life.
Right. And again, it's not that we're not watching these races. So obviously, clearly, if you listen to the recap shows, we watch them and we're betting on them. And for the most part, we're giving out pretty solid statistics. So I don't think that's much of a case. And I do, if Mark is watching Skybox, I got my paper notes right here. That's been a thing on X. Go check out that. Make sure you vote for Rod. Disappointed in you. You probably voted for keeping your notes. It's surprising because you're the old man and you keep your notes on the electronics. I keep them on the paper, but I feel, and somebody actually commented that on his thing. I feel like if you actually physically write something down, you're better at remembering. And I think that's my thing is like when I write it down, then I'm better at remembering it. So it's just whatever. Anyways, off on an entire sidetrack tangent here now. I didn't remember where I was going, but yeah, Lawless Allen's a good play. That's all that matters.
Beautiful stuff. Lynn talking about that's not how it goes. Mistakes happen when you're putting out the amount of content we get for free, by the way.
Oh, yeah, free. Lynn. That's weird. That's a good point, Lynn. It is free.
All right, get out your pen and paper or your computer and we are going to go over the the DFS plays for this slate. Cody started you out with Christian Eckes at $10,700 as his high price driver. I gave you Taylor Gray at $9,200 as my high price driver. Cody dipped down to Caden Honeycutt at $6,500 for his mid-tier driver. I said Taylor's bigger brother, Tanner Gray, would finish well and give you a good DFS day at $7,400. Cody dipped down to Timmy Hill at $5,500 for his low price driver. I said Lawless Allen at $5,100 is my low price driver. Let's turn our attention to Underdog Fantasy, where you have the opportunity to sign up right now using our promo code RACESGPN. You are going to get a deposit match, and you're going to have some fun picking these truck plays because, of course, they are all out there for you. We'll give you 3 of our favorites each, and essentially, it's simple. If you haven't ever heard of it, if it's your first time listening, Underdog will give you a projected finishing position for the driver. You simply pick whether they'll finish better than, which means better than, right? If they give you a 7, that means 7th or better. And then, of course, if they say worse than, then it's 8th or worse, and you're on your way. It's very simple. You can stack up to 5 plays. You don't even have to do all racing. You can do basketball. You could throw hockey in there. You could throw all kinds of crazy stuff and mix and match. But you pick 5, watch the multiplier go up, and then at the end of the day, just start stacking your own pennies. Thanks to Underdog. So again, Cody and I will give you 3 of our favorite plays for that, and it will begin right now, Cody.
Yeah, exactly. You played it out perfectly. They've got F1 over there, Rod. They've got Cup Series picks. You can cross races. You can cross sport, like all you said, with all that. I am extremely excited about the Truck Series stuff on Underdog, Rod. They are offering a ton of really good lines this week. And I'm excited to get some plays in here. So I'm going to kick it off. A little repetitive here, but needs to be said. Christian Eckes better than 4.5, Rod. I think I've talked enough probably about Christian Eckes already, but he's going to be really fast here. He's going to be really good here. And this isn't he has to win the race. He doesn't have to finish second. He doesn't have to finish in the top 3. He just has to finish the top 4, Rod. Corey Heim can beat him. Taylor Gray can beat him. Saint Smith can beat him. He could still be up there. And he's going to be one of the 2 or 3 best trucks in this race. I expect him to win. Obviously, I gave him out as my winner yesterday. One of my winners yesterday on the Truck Series betting episode. So love this for Christian Eckes. I think that this is a great number at 4.5. So better than 4.5 for him.
Yeah, again, we it's kind of beating on the Christian Eckes drum, but yeah, that's the way it is right now. It's going to be a good race for him, and no matter what number he has, what finishing position he's set at, other than maybe like 0.5, then I think we're going to have to take whatever we get for him winning this race. So I absolutely love it. Something else I absolutely love is Ben Rhodes. His finishing position is set at 12.5. Listen, you know me. I'm normally the guy that loves to look for the better thans. I'm always, I want to take the better thans because I'm always saying, oh, this driver's going to do fantastic. It's going to do well. He's going to do so good. I can't say that about Ben Rhodes at Kansas. I looked into his numbers and I looked into his numbers this season. And I was like, 12.5 you got to take the worst then in this instance. 30th at Daytona. Super Speedway. Got to throw that out, right? 28th at Atlanta. Again, another Super Speedway, but boy, a couple of terrible finishes for him. And then Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas, he finishes 13, which, by the way, is worse than 12.5. That is a 1.5 mile track, and he finished 13th in that one. He started 13th. He didn't even improve on his entire thing. Bristol, 16th. Coda, he finished 7th, but road course, can't really count that. Martinsville, 14th. Fort Worth, Texas, that last 1.5 miles that we had, 24th. His average start this season is 18th. His average finish, 18.9. He is suffering. And I get it, Boji Joe. Ben is definitely due, but not on Kansas. You want me to read you off the last few finishes at Kansas? All right, here we go. Fall of last year, 25th. He started 6th in that race. In the spring, he finished 16th. He started 5th in that race. In 2022, finished 13th. Started 6th in that race. Now, a couple of top 10 finishes in 2022 at the end of the season, and then 2021 in the spring, but a 20th place finish in 2020 as well. I mean, look, when 4 of your last 6 finishes have been outside of this finishing position, I'm not confident. And the fact of the matter is, his average start here, 7.5. His average finish, 13.9. I just don't think he's getting these handwritten notes. Boji Joe says, no, they are on my computer right here. I'm looking right at it. But yeah, I mean, again, it's just not, it's not in the cards for Ben Rhodes this week. I don't think he's going to have a top 12 finish. It's going to more likely be a top 15 finish, which again, if it's anywhere between 13 and 15, you're going to hit this.
Rod, I've just placed a bet on Ben Rhodes to win this race at 40-1. Last time I was on this show last season, I talked mad shit on Ben Rhodes, said he sucked. He wasn't doing anything. I couldn't believe how horrible they'd been. His track history was bad, and he proceeded to go win that weekend. So, there we go. But that's how it goes. Old-fashioned football checking in. Hey, you guys. But no, in a real sense, I do agree with everything you said about Ben Rhodes. I just feel burned from last time I talked bad about him, and he made me pay for it. But I think you are correct, Rod. Look, I know you said worse thans were kind of a thing this week, Rod. I think there's a lot of good worse thans on Underdog this week. So I'm going to go to Lane Riggs, worse than 13.5, Rod. We are, how many races into the season are we? 2, 4, 6. We're 7 races. We've had 7 Truck Series races, Rod. So Lane Riggs here is set at 13.5. How many times do you think Lane Riggs has finished inside of the top 13 this season?
This season?
Yes. In
Is there a number,
7 races.
Is there a number lower than 0?
There is not. He's actually done it once. He did finish 10th at Bristol, so I'll give him credit for that. But one time in 7 races, Rod, 22nd at Las Vegas, 31st at Texas. And he did, at Texas, he started 7th. He came out, qualified well, and then again, I don't remember what happened to him. He only completed 135 laps. So, that was actually probably about the scheduled distance. But I don't remember what happened to him because it was so unmemorable. Because his entire season so far has been unmemorable. I was very high on Lane Riggs coming into the season. I've been extremely disappointed with what I've seen so far. Even at places like Martinsville, like Bristol, where he should be good. 10th at Bristol really is not what he should have done in this truck for the talent he has at short tracks. 15th place at Martinsville. He's not been any good at all this season. Why is that going to start this weekend at Kansas, Rod? I can't think of any good reason. So absolutely love taking the worst then for Lane Riggs on this one.
And I know that 38 truck carries a lot of weight behind it. There's so many people that remember Zane Smith drove that truck, but that's not, that hasn't been the case for a while. And unfortunately, I don't know. It's that, and I know that a lot of people are going to be on it. So we'll go ahead and fade that as well. All right. I'm going to turn my attention. First of all, let's address Laura here real quick. She wants to know who's going to win the Xfinity race.
Rod Villagomez is my winner for the Xfinity race this weekend at Kansas, mostly because no Xfinity drivers are racing. But unfortunately, no Xfinity series this weekend. So they're taking the week off. So that's why we've got a full truck DFS episode here. And Boji Joe pointing out as well, Todd and Zane. Because before Zane Smith was in that 38, it was Todd Gilliland that tore it up in that truck as well. So it's been a really good truck for a long time. That's why I was so excited. Lane Riggs seems to be a young, talented guy. I'm sure he's going to be fine. He's got a future. They'll get it figured out. But until he gets it figured out, Rod, I'm going to fade him and take the worst then. 1 for 7 on the season. And really, it's not like he's been close and had a bunch of bad breaks or anything. He's just not been good. So, I really like taking the worst then for Lane Riggs this week.
Car lift me. Yes, indeed. I'll do it. All right. Well, then let's talk about the former occupant of that 38 truck, and we'll take Zane Smith. His finishing his projected finishing position is 5.5. So essentially a top 5 finish for Zane Smith. Look, Zane Smith has had a top 5 finish in 2 of 3 races that he's been in this season in the Truck Series. And the one that he didn't was an 8th place finish at Las Vegas. He got a 3rd at Bristol. He got a 5th last week at Vegas. I think a top 5 is definitely in the cards for him. Why? Look, I know that the 91 is not the 38, but he's already proven that he can finish inside the top 5 at 1.5 miles, which he's done at Kansas for the last 4 races in a row. 2022 in the spring, he won this race. In 2022 in the fall, he finished 4th. In 2023 in the spring, he finished 3rd. In 2023 in the fall, he finished 5th. So again, the driver can sometimes drive this equipment better than the equipment itself. Zane Smith, fully capable of being that guy. has already turned in three solid runs. I'm so worked up over this. I can't even get it out. 3 solid runs in his truck series debut in the 91. And so I McAnally trucks are fast. They always have been and they always will be. And he's not the slowest guy on the track. So I really do believe that a top 5 finish was within Zane Smith's capability. I think a top 3 finish is it, but all I'm asking for out of this is a top 5 from Zane Smith, who has done it time and time again. So give me Zane Smith better than 5.5.
Yeah, no arguments for me. I like this one, Rod. Another one that I really like, Stuart Friesen. I hate to do it to our favorite Canadian, Rod, but worse than 12.5. Rod, I've got a little trivia question for you again. 7 races into the season, Zane Smith has how many finishes better than 12.5? But wait, I will help you. I'll give you a little bit of some hints here. At the 2.5 miles we've been to so far, Rod, he started in 3rd place at Texas and 3rd place at Las Vegas. So 7 races in, how many times do you think Stuart Friesen has finished better than 12.5?
Is there a number lower than 0?
There could be a number lower than 0, and that might be where Stuart Friesen is, because he's not finished better than 12.5, Rod. I rest my case. So, I mean, really, I don't know what else to say. Like, when he comes out and qualifies 3rd this weekend, go see what head-to-heads you can find against Stuart Friesen, because he's been doing it. He's qualifying good, but he ain't running good. He finished 13th at Texas, so he was half a spot outside of this, but guess what? The worst then would have cashed there, Rod. 18th at Las Vegas, so kind of seems like maybe he's going to be hanging around in that 13th to 20th range. That's not better than 12.5. If we're 7 races in and he hasn't gotten it done so far, again, it's much similar to Lane Riggs. It's not that I don't think he can get there eventually, and again, we know he's done it before, but he's not done it this season. So I'm going to continue to do the opposite of riding the hot hand, Rod. And I guess the hot hand has been the worst then, so I'm going to ride the worse than hot hand on both of these guys. Give me Stuart Friesen worse than 12.5.
Boji Joe reminding me 0 is not a number. That is correct. You are right. I know this
still,
because
it's debatable.
My 13-year-old's doing math last night. And she's asking me if I could help, and I was like,
"Oh,
yeah, no."
Rod, I have a 10-year-old, and she brings up math questions. I'm like, go talk to your mom. I don't know what the fuck's going on this paper.
I was like, Where in this is it asking me about the finishing position of Stuart Friesen? Because if that's the math we're doing, I think I could do that math. But
well, then the problem is too, like, I can get to an answer, but you have to show your work, and it's not the way that they do it now. So I'm like, I don't know how to show it that way.
I can get to an answer, but teachers won't accept screenshots from Google. That's
also that
my work. That's how that works. They're like, no, you can't do that at all. So, yeah, we'll take that. All right, let me talk about a guy we haven't really talked about very much. And
this, by the way, before we get into this, I was a little upset that you got to the dock first and took this, because this is my favorite of all of these plays, Rod. This one will be in probably every underdog lineup I submit this weekend.
This one jumped off the page to me almost immediately, and that is Chase Purdy. His finishing position is set at 14.5, and you think to yourself, Chase Purdy, right, in that 77 Spire truck, that he should get a top 14 finish. He should be able to finish somewhere in and around the top 10, right? You'd pretty much be thinking wrong. His average finish this season, 20.3. His average starting 13, but boy, he cannot hold on to where he starts. 28th at Daytona, 15th in Atlanta, 16th at Vegas, which is what we're really paying attention to, 33rd at Bristol, 22nd at Austin, 3rd at Martinsville. It's like, whoa, where the hell did that come from? And then back down to earth in Texas, 25th there. Look, I get it. Your heart feels for him because he should be running better. It should be the driver that we were talking about last season, where we were all over Chase Purdy because of the equipment he was in, right? Well, it's not the same. It's not the same. This is not right. So you look back at Kansas, his average finishing position, 19.3. Now he starts well here. He starts 11.4 on average, but does not get the finishes done. Last year in the fall, 14th. In the spring, 33rd. 2022 in the fall, 25th. He did get a 13th place finish in the spring of 2022, but 25th in the spring of 2021. And then I don't even want to count 2020, 10th and 15th in this one. But he started on the pole in the fall of last year and ended up falling back to 14th. And that was in the 4 truck. That was in the KBM 4 truck. He can't hold on to the starting positions. He can't finish well at Kansas. And He just hasn't been holding on to his starting positions this season either. So Chase Purdy, worse than 14.5. Yeah, lock that one in.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a truck that should be able to do it. It's a Spire truck. We've seen Roger Cruth obviously won at Las Vegas. We've seen Nick Sanchez has been good in the Rev/Spire truck. Obviously, Kyle Busch has been good in the Spire trucks too, but even with KBM trucks, he wasn't doing much. Still not doing much. I mean, I think he gets a little more respect from the books or from Underdog in this scenario because he is in a Spire truck, and I don't think he's really earned it, Rod. So, yeah, absolutely love taking the worst then on Purdy here. So, a lot of worse thens in Underdog here, but shout out to them for giving us these opportunities for some different guys. Like, it's not, I mean, yes, the Eckeses and the Heims are in there and stuff, but you've also got the Friesens and the Riggs and the Purdys and the Rhodes out here that we can get in, again, a different way to get action on all of these guys in a fantasy way here. And yeah, don't like to be negative Nancy usually on this show, but worse than seems to be the way to go on quite a few guys this week.
I mean, again, I'm Mr. Positivity, right? To a fault, where I get screamed at for being too positive in a lot of cases. So, but now I think my cynical side has started to come out. Maybe the trolls have won, and I'm going to be negative for the rest of my life. So give me everybody worse than their finishing position. No one's going to win this race. You aren't going to enjoy it, and it's going to suck.
They should probably just shut the entire league. I mean, the entire series on, Rod.
I'm done. I'm done. All right, get out your note-taking paraphernalia of choice and get ready. We're going to give you our underdog plays for this slate. Cody started you out with Christian Eckes better than 4.5 finishing position. I said that I wanted to say Cody Rhodes, not Cody Rhodes. I'll give you Ben Rhodes.
I would take Cody Rhodes better than. I've heard
I would take Cody Rhodes better than 12.5, but Ben Rhodes, no. 12.5 worse than for Ben Rhodes. Lane Riggs worse than 13.5 for Cody. I said Zane Smith would finish better than 5.5. And then Cody said that Stuart Friesen would finish worse than 12.5. Said that Chase Purdy would finish worse than 14.5. There you have it. I'll play for the Heart of America 200 Truck Series race. We will be enjoying on Saturday night, right? Under the lights. Having fun watching trucks under the lights.
Yeah, Saturday night racing is always fun. It's trucks under the lights, it's the way to do it, Rod. They should be required to race under the lights every week. So you'd love to see it. Gonna be an exciting race. And again, I think we found some good advantages for the Truck Series fantasy here.
Indeed. All right, Cody. Well, as we start to wrap this up, I think we'll give everybody a chance to go and jump on these before they either go away or they happen to move, because we've been known to move a few things here and there. With DFS, not so much though. So I think we're good to go there. But
they don't move the pricing, and so that's always nice. But
yeah. All right. But anyways, let's go ahead and let them go. And we will be back with you tomorrow for some Cup Series DFS and underdog plays for the Advent Health 400 over there in Kansas. So on the way out, Cody, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, follow me over on the X at Husker_Z. You can find all my stuff over there. If you don't want to wait for tomorrow for some Cup Series underdog plays, if you want to get ahead of the game, get them in early over on sportsgamblingpodcast.com. I have an article out with 4 of my favorite underdog plays. Probably repeat a few of them on the show tomorrow, but go check out that article. Get those plays in early, and you never know. They might change at some point from the article even. So check it out, and we'll be back tomorrow with Cup Series, DFS, and underdog. I'm excited for that, Rod, and let's go win some fantasy at Kansas this weekend.
Indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review. Make sure you check out In Between Media. I'm on the back road tonight with Seth and Elliott, breaking down Kansas from the betting and DFS perspective of the Cup. And then, check out my F1 article for SBR coming out very soon as well. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for some Cup Series action. And until then, everyone, let's go racing and let it ride.